This is it, I think. We're like,
oh yeah, oh yeah. This is fully the intro.
oh yeah, baby, he's clicked.
Have you not been on this podcast before? Oh
Have
no,
you
you
not
haven't.
heard our intro before?
Have you not listened to our podcast before?
Is he a listener?
I don't know if I've listened to part of the first one.
Ooh.
Oh. Well, you got a lot of catching up to do. I mean,
I have, yeah.
I mean,
This
it's
is
archived
I
on.
haven't even listened.
It's archived on YouTube for you. This is a gold podcast. This is. Aren't we, hang on, wait a sec. Aren't we in like some top podcast like section on YouTube?
Yeah, we are actually. The pleb section. So, press the button.
Yeah, it's time for the intro. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Yes, welcome to another week of Cool Story Bro, the podcast where two brothers talk rubbish about video games and sometimes have a guest on. And this week we do have a guest, old friend of the channel, Mr. VeganSpaceman. How are we doing?
Groove-tastic.
Groove-tastic. I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone say that phrase before.
You heard it here first.
Are you excited about being on the podcast?
Hell yeah.
Oh, there we go. You didn't sound excited before. Now it's kind of kicked it up to like 5 on the scale to like 10.
Can I get a hell yeah? VeganSpaceman, how's it going, buddy?
I am fantastic.
How's your day been?
Warm and beautiful. We are having the longest summer Britain has ever seen in the history of Britain.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I totally
great
forgot
day.
your English as well. Yeah, there's actually another Brit on the podcast, which is good. And in fact, our other guest, Lunch Money, was also a Brit as well. I'm just talking rubbish. I don't know what I'm going on about.
You trying to say yours Yanks aren't good enough for you?
You classing yourself as an American?
Hey,
Yeah.
you're British too.
I know, mate.
I know, mate.
President.
Oh, I know, mate. What was that Cockney accent for? I know, mate. I click a meals together. I'm still British.
You call that a Brit?
Vegan, why don't you tell the viewers, the two viewers we do have, is how me and you met and how this all blossomed.
Oh, wow.
A
Okay,
long
so
time ago, wasn't it?
once upon a time in the land of the internet, I was looking for videos on a very particular game, which was DayZ.
Oh yeah.
And I discovered many videos on DayZ, and then I stumbled across the TheSneakyBros and their shenanigans in the world of DayZ, and that's how I discovered you guys. And then I sent you a message on Steam, I think it was, if I remember rightly, and said, "Hey, what a platform!" And yeah, I sent you a message, and at first you thought I was a fan, like a young fan. You're like, "Hey, yeah, okay, you could play with us one time." And, and then
like, I got it a lot back in those days. I mean, I don't want to sound like a bit of an idiot and a bit of like a snob or whatever, and like, ego and such, but I did get a lot of messages back in the day saying, "Can you like record Daisy with me?" And it was pain enough just recording it with Verlaine, and he was terrible at recording as well. So like when I had like a torrent of other people asking me, I was like, I really can't be bothered. But I remember your Steam picture. It was like your eyeball, wasn't it? It's really
yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I do. So I was like, this guy looks interesting, and you were golden from the start. And I remember that when we actually met in DayZ, I was with Europa at the time as well. That was roughly like almost like the first month of me actually meeting her as well.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was actually really funny as well. And then we, did some testing for a couple of ideas, didn't we? We had big dreams, and obviously that came crashing down like all of our adventures that we do.
We just didn't progress with it, did we? And they're still there. The Trello board is still there with all the golden information on. I think we should definitely do it one day. It's just time, isn't it? As you know,
it is. Even our old podcast Trello is up there, even with all the members laid out.
Really,
we had big dreams, and we're finally doing it.
Yes, we're making it happen, baby.
Good.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad we cleared Good that up.
Cleared the air. Laid out the groundwork. So I'm trying out this new thing, Vegan. You're going to be our guinea pig. I've got some questions here that I'd like to ask every guest that comes on.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't me?
I wasn't there at the time. You can ask my friend George.
That's not what I have written down here, my friend. Many witnesses. So, just to get a feel of, what you like, So, ready for a couple of questions?
Hit me.
So, hit me, baby. What was your first game you ever played? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, it was Pong. Pong on
Pong?
the Atari.
Really?
2600.
That's like, you couldn't get any more old school than that, really, could you?
It is the first game. It's literally.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, Pong. My mum had it. She had the old Atari and Commodores and stuff, and that's what I grew up with. So yeah, Pong was my first game, and then Pac-Man after that.
So you grew up in a family that was just already, gamers themselves?
Yeah, I wouldn't call them hardcore gamers, but they had the consoles and they had the computers, and it was just cool.
Awesome. So, favorite game console? Anything that stands out?
Oh goodness. Any generation or
anything at all, mate?
I would have to say the Mega Drive, because that was the first console. It was the first console I owned myself, so it was like my personal first console, and the one I played the most on, in a sense.
That was the one that you had as well, Ziclag. But I remember we only ever had 3 games for it. I had the
Echo the Dolphin, wasn't it?
Oh no, we had more than that. No, okay, no, we did have more.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. What else do we have? That weird boxing game.
Sci-fi game as well.
There was a weird boxing game that was.
Boxing game.
Yeah, it was like a wrestling / boxing game. I can't remember.
I have a bit of a sad story when it comes to my Sega Mega Drive. So just like you, Vegan, it was my first personal console I had. I think my mother bought it for me, and got to the age where starting to go out a bit more with the older lads, oi on our bikes, and I did the foolish thing of selling the Sony for selling the Mega Drive for £5. I sold the whole thing for £5. I still kick myself today for selling it for so cheap.
I wonder how much a Mega Drive goes for now online.
£6.50.
Wasn't that much of a loss then. So, another question: favorite game franchise or favorite standalone game? Do you have anything that stands out that you always go back to playing? Or
that is a very, very tough question. That is one of the. It's almost like asking me what my favorite film is, or my favorite song, or my favorite Sneaky Bro.
Always going to be Sneaky Vale, though, isn't it? Let's face it.
Come on. We got fucking.
Out of interest, though, on a popular auction website, Mega Drives are going for between £40 and £80.
Not that much.
So, yeah.
They've not appreciated like some consoles have.
No.
What about you had a Amiga, didn't you? How much are those?
Yeah, I had a Commodore Amiga. I had a few of them, actually, because they had a tendency just to stop working every now and again. Because, the various operating systems that you had to put on. Commodore Amiga.
I remember the Jurassic Park game that you had for that. That was amazing. Really hard, though.
That was an absolutely outstanding game.
So while he's typing away on the world's noisiest keyboard, I think I've got like one more question for you, Vegan.
I haven't even answered that question yet.
Go on then, go ahead if you have a...
I haven't got an answer, but give me the other question.
So, hang on, my notes, this is prepared as always. What is one change you would make to the gaming industry if you had the power?
Oh, I know exactly what that would be, and that would be more diversity. There are so many games that are massively sexist, massively racist in a sense. There's not different ethnicities in the games and things. Yeah, I think games need to be more diverse, massively. They just need to wake up and kind of be a bit more inclusive of certain things, and less
More
like
equality.
sexual. There's a lot of sexual things in games. When there's women in
There is,
games,
yeah.
they have massive breasts and they're very sexualized. And I just think we don't need that. It just teaches young people the wrong things.
Some League of Legends
It
skins
does,
are
yeah.
very interesting. Not just League of Legends. I think any game that of that art style, shall we say, the shooter as well. All the shooters actually were very similar. Overwatch, for example.
That's a topic we've really not touched upon. It's not even something I've really thought about properly to ever bring up on the podcast, and it's actually a very good point.
It's
to
so
bring up.
standardized, I think, in the gaming world now that
Yeah.
expect female characters to be well endowed, should we say? It's.
Do you think the rating system that we use right now, for example, the US and UK, are pretty similar? Do you think they're okay as they are, or do you think they need to be more regulated?
I think they're fine. I think it's the content of the games that needs to be thought about more, really. The gambling, microtransactions, and the way that loot boxes work. I know in China that they've made it a legal requirement that you have to know the odds of getting a particular rare item from a certain box. They
That's
have
good,
to tell
actually.
you now.
I like that.
It's brilliant.
That's actually very good, because there's a lot of loot box systems where they'll say whatever, a new shiny car in a game or a top rated skin, and you physically don't know how much you've got to spend to get such thing.
And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of those, sorry to interrupt, but it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of those are actually coded to basically never give out, like 0.0001%.
As long as they give it out at least once, they're not really breaking any rules. But yeah, I'd quite like to see that change, actually. Odds on loot boxes. I think loot boxes will change very drastically over the next few years. We talked about it quite a lot in the podcast. Just to skip back one as well, on a popular auction website, the Commodore Amiga A500 is on there for £150. There's some over here with all the gadgets, because I had all the extras. I had like 4 disk drives for them, because it ran off floppy disks.
You did, yeah.
I had like all like there was like controller extras as well and all that sort of stuff, and there was one on here for like over £300. So
wow,
yeah, that's appreciated quite well. I've got a good emulator of the Amiga anyway on my PC, and some GOG games as well.
GOG. There's some pretty good guys over there.
They've ported some really cool games actually, and I think it's a good service to jump back to that.
Because I'm not sure about YouTube, but I find myself nowadays like not really interested in a lot of new upcoming games. I tend to always find myself getting that nostalgia feel and going back to games like 10 years ago and having a bash on them.
I was thinking about this week, because I really wanted to do a section on the podcast where we talk about what games we've been playing this week, and then I realised like I progressed through the same section of games on my Steam, and the only thing that makes me try new games is the Xbox Game Pass. And I've mentioned this before, because they're free, like top end games, I get to try them out and I think, yeah, this is pretty cool. I wouldn't have tried this, which is a really good feature of the Game Pass. But there is something I've been playing this week that I've not played for a while. It is an old game. I've been back on Halo 3. Just getting out that old shooter nostalgia. I was actually spent quite a while trying to look for an old Forge map till I realised it's no longer in the cloud anymore. It was on a hard drive that I think I sold when I sold my Xbox 360.
I'll never forgive you for that.
Yeah, which is a shame. Like, we spent like a good week perfecting this map, because me and Ziclag, like, obviously there was just like the one console in the house, which Ziclag had. And we used to play Halo over Call of Duty for the one fact it had local multiplayer. Like, you couldn't do local split screen multiplayer on COD for years. Every Call of Duty release, I remember looking, the one feature I wanted was local console, split screen multiplayer. Didn't come in for years, but Halo had it like from Halo 3. Which meant we could sit on the same console, play online against people, and it was great. I used to love Halo 3.
Sweaty nerds, sweating it out the whole day, getting that double XP bonuses. Yeah, I remember those days. We were. We should backtrack actually and talk a bit about Unreal Tournament. Do you remember that certain server that we used to go on?
Yeah, Unreal Tournament. That was sort of when I'd got like my first laptop, so I was like downloading like PC games, getting into it, and the laptop wasn't all that powerful, so I couldn't play like AAA releases on there like Call of Duties and stuff like that. But I did go back to Unreal Tournament, and yeah, I used to go on bunny track servers, which I think in Counter-Strike they're called surfing, aren't they? Is it something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
It's kind of like surfing. You're not moving all the time. It's parkour, and then I spent ages on it. You just like spend there like talking to people a lot of the time, and then like roughly try the challenges. I remember the first time I completed one of them levels on Unreal Tournament, because they were pretty much impossible. Like some of the mechanics people would have to use to get over obstacles were so obscure that to learn them, it was just like an absolute mind boggle. And I remember completing one. I think it was called Total Noobish. That was the name of the map. 100% that was the name of the map. I still remember it today.
Where it had the like 3D text?
Yeah, that was the final stage. And I remember that before I completed it, I failed on the final jump. Like that was the most crushing moment I think ever. But I got back on the horse and I completed it. Yeah, Total Noobish. If you got Unreal Tournament, the original, they're on Steam actually. They did like a history of Unreal Tournament.
Is there any games that you tend to go back to, Vegan, that pushes those nostalgia buttons?
Well, while you've been talking, I've been thinking long and hard about my favourite game and what series I'd like, and I think I've got my answer.
Yeah.
So, the whole universe of Half-Life I love, and the Half-Life series, but taking on from that, I think my favourite games of all time are the 2 Portal games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're just like outstanding.
I was very late to the Portal games. I joined in Portal 2, like way after Portal 2 release actually, and then I went back and played them all. Absolutely amazing. Like both the single player and the co-op is amazing. Like we've done local co-op as well. And I think you can do it online as well, can't you? Yeah. Absolutely brilliant games. Like just not only in mechanics, but as in like the comedy in the single player is absolutely hilarious. Like it's so witty.
In the second one, I loved Stephen Merchant's role playing the little robot guy. Absolutely outstanding.
What was the name of the robot?
It's probably his best role he's done. Ooh.
What was his name? This is going to really bug me.
There's a bit of trivia. Tell us in the comments.
We'll leave that. We'll pass that off to the viewers. While we're talking about sort of games from the past, and we were talking about Call of Duty and Halo and all that sort of stuff, let's switch to gaming news, because Call of Duty 4 Black Ops multiplayer beta released this week. All the top streamers were playing it. I got a chance to watch some people kicking around on it, and you know what? It actually looks decent.
Oh boy!
And I'm not sure if that's going to make me buy it, because I thought the last one looked decent as well. But you know what? It's your standard sort of COD setup. And you know what? Sometimes I quite like just jumping into a COD game, shooting a few people, getting a few drops and all that sort of stuff. And you know what you're getting with Call of Duty at the end of the day? And, a lot of people get really uptight that, it's not boots on the ground, or that, what they're actually quite liking the space theme. They want this, they want that. But at the end of the day, essentially, it is the same game. You're going to be on a tight map, which is going to be nicely themed, and you're going to be in there, you shoot someone, you're going to get shot, you get straight back in there, and that's how it works. And that's the formula that they've come to know and love and master.
Did they show off the Royale mode that they've been raving about?
No, they didn't. Or not that I saw anyway. I didn't spot anything.
Okay.
But have you been a Call of Duty fan, Vegan?
I played Call of Duty 4 heavily. Went to LAN with it.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was,
Tell us.
LAN parties with COD 4, eh?
Went to iSeries with COD 4.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was good. We didn't have the best team, but we had a strong team. We almost got to the finals and just missed out by 1 point against the number 3 seed in the world.
Wow! Well, congratulations on that. What was your favourite weapon?
Oh, the 74U.
Yeah.
Of course.
Was the meta back in those days the M16?
No, no, it was the 74U. Well, it depends on what role you played, but
Yeah.
I was either the 74U or the AK.
So what? Just interesting, because obviously I only ever played COD 4 like casually. What was the professional strategies then for gameplay? Was it a deathmatch style system?
It was objective,
So it was
plant the
objective
bomb.
games, yeah.
Yeah.
One life.
Yeah.
So is it Counter-Strike style? Yeah, one life then. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's my. To be honest, that's my favourite game mode of any FPS I play. I love objective mode. One life, plant the bomb.
Yeah.
5v5. That's where it's at. It's where it's always been at for me for FPS.
I found that playing that game mode, Search and Destroy, is that when your whole team dies, like everyone is watching you. Everyone's eyes is on you, and you're starting to sweat. You get pressured.
You got your chance to do some 360 wall bangs off the wall.
Exactly, yeah. So when you've got all this pressure on you, and then you eventually pull it off in front of everyone, you feel like a god for the next 5 seconds, and then everyone forgets. You start the next round.
It's a great feeling.
Tomahawk across the map.
Now we have shadow play. People can remember forever.
Indeed.
So in Rainbow Six Siege, when you get the ace and the whole team are watching you, it's the best feeling. The best feeling. And then you hit Alt F10 to save the last 5 minutes.
Talking about LAN parties and competitions, you yourself run a team, don't you, Vegan?
Yeah.
It's touch upon.
It's very quiet at the moment because it's summertime. People like to go out and socialise and have lots of fun. So me and you, the sun, yeah. There's something out there. It's bright. I don't want to see it. But yeah, me and you spoke recently about taking it into a different direction, which I'm open for doing. So the team is going to evolve and change and become more content production related.
Awesome.
Because it's perfect for that, really. So
I don't know why we've not spoken before without turning this into a business meeting. I've done loads of events and events planning and all that sort of stuff. This feels like it could be something good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, before we turn this into a business meeting, let's move on to some more gaming news. While we're talking about LAN parties, obviously the all-time great LAN game, Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's currently EVO 2018, and as of recording this podcast right now, when it goes out, you'll know the result. They're into the final winners bracket game of EVO 2018, the biggest fighting tournament in the world. Obviously, it's not just Smash Bros. Melee. They do Street Fighter Arcade Edition, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, is it? Super Smash Bros. Wii, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Tekken 7. Is it Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle? Guilty Gear and Injustice 2, all in the EVO lineup. They're currently streaming on Twitch right now. Leffen and Plup are in the final. That's a Fox main versus a Sheik main. It's really great, actually. I've been looking down. All the old pros are still playing Smash Bros. Melee, I think, which is great to see. Mewtwo King was in there. He went out in loser's bracket. Mango and Hungry Box just fought off. They've got it to semi-finals. Mango's now part of Cloud9.
Really?
Yeah, he's part of Cloud9 now. The semi-finals, Plop actually beat Mango 2-0.
Oh wow!
Mango's now Falco main.
Mango was he was a bit of a maniac, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I believe it was like Kirby that he played for a while.
No, it was Jigglypuff, I think, wasn't it?
I can't remember. You're right.
I've been watching the documentary, but I can't remember. It all kind of blends into one after a while. But Armada was playing as well. He went out to Zane in the last 16 as well. So it's great to see all the main ones back. And I love watching Smash just because that is some technical ability needed with a controller there.
It is, yeah, but for a viewer, it is also very good as well because the objective, if you don't know anything about the game, is you have two guys, they have to battle each other. One's going to win, one's going to lose. So it's really easy to follow, but seeing them pull off these like fantastic combos, and it's just like, oh, brilliant, love it.
Yeah, it gets me into 2D fighters. I've obviously a big fan of Brawlhalla, play that quite a bit still, which is kind of a modern inclination of what a Smash Brothers-esque game would be like. It's a little bit different. They've got their own spin on it, which I like. They've not just tried to clone it. And it's good, and it's free on Steam as well, so I definitely recommend it if you like your 2D fighters.
Have you delved in the 2D realm, Vegan, of fighting games?
Oh, not in a long time.
Yeah. Were you ever a Street Fighter fan or Tekken, anything like that?
Mortal Kombat?
Oh, you're a Mortal Kombat kind of guy.
Yeah, I like them both really, but I was never really that great at them.
Yeah, during the Tekken days, it was sort of, you know, just button mashing time. But I think over the years, I've been a bit, you know, more skilled, shall we say, in the 2D fighter. I'm still not good, but you know, I feel like I know what I need to do to advance. But yeah, 2D fighters, they're good, and they're great. They're just great viewing. Like I think the Twitch live viewers there were 120,000 viewers, which is testament to how big the Evo tournament is getting. And great to see games like Smash Brothers Melee still pulling in huge viewers. In fact, probably record-breaking viewers for Smash Brothers after all this time, because it really took a dive after it disappeared off the MLG circuit. But it's Twitch and online streaming has definitely brought it back, and I think the documentary helps as well. I know the guy who made the documentary is in the final stages of the next part. I think he's doing, I don't know if it's like a mini movie that's spread across like 6 or 7 episodes of like an extended bit of the documentary, which should be good because he's a really good storyteller, and I really like what he's done. So moving on to some other gaming news, we're going to have a quick look at what's coming out with Games with Gold this month if you got your Xbox. Forza Horizon 2 is currently available to download on the Xbox One and associated consoles. This will be available till the end of the month, obviously trying to gain hype for the new Forza Horizon 4, which will be set in the UK. More specifically, predominantly it's going to be set in Scotland, but they have included sort of parts of Wales, the Cotswolds, really nice driving roads from the UK, and of course the M6 is in there going north to south as well, with the gantries in there as well. If you've never driven in the UK, I'll actually have no idea what we're talking about it, but it's quite possibly the most frustrating driving road to go on in the world, and I'll be on there, you know, in less than 12 hours time heading to work, so you know, I'm looking forward to that. Joining halfway through the month, For Honor will be on the Xbox One as well. Obviously, I don't need to talk about too much about For Honor because I think most people know what it is. I
tried it because the whole like E3 presentation, they gave it away for free for a little while. I played it. I couldn't get into it.
Not a fan,
it felt a bit clunky to me.
Yeah. It's a 3D fighter essentially, so medieval themed. For those of you still rocking an Xbox 360, we love you. You're going to be getting Dead Space 3 on... in fact, it's available now, but that's only available till August 15th, so you've only got half a month to get that. And then Disney's epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two, will come out after that for your Xbox 360 people. Not forgetting Sony's PlayStation, coming out this month in August for the PS4. You've got Mafia 3. Which is that's a really good freebie game actually to be like that. Mafia games, absolutely outstanding open world crime games. So if you're into that, definitely get yourself Mafia 3 for free on the PlayStation 4. Along with that, Dead by Daylight is going to be available as well. So Dead by Daylight is a cooperative horror game. You can have 4 players as survivors who are trying to like sort of repair generators to open the gate to escape. That's kind of the overview of Dead by Daylight. For you PS3 guys, we've got Bound by Flame and Serious Sam BFE. And yeah, that's I don't really know too much about that game, so I can't really comment too much. But still games for free.
Dead by Daylight's quite fun. It's a very fun game to play, can have some really good laughs in it, and can be quite scary at the same time.
Cooperative horror games, we spoke about them last week actually, they are fun, and definitely when you're with people you know, I think they're just even funnier.
Yes.
We spoke about it a few times on the podcast over the last few weeks. No Man's Sky Next is obviously released now, and not only is it released, and not only is it getting fantastic reviews, it is drawing in a record number of players, with peak player count at just under 100,000. It's currently the current peak record is 96,000 players. Currently online now is 81,000. That's on a Sunday evening here in the UK, which puts it as the 6th most played current game on Steam. Obviously, the games above it are Warframe, Grand Theft Auto, Counter-Strike, Dota, and of course the king of Steam, which is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Now, for a game that was on its backside on release, you cannot but commend the developers for what they've done here. It's ahead of Rainbow Six Siege.
I mean,
it's currently it's top 20 on Twitch being viewed right now.
Oh, really?
16th most viewed game.
I mean, you've got to give it to the devs, really. I mean, like, you know, like I said in the other episodes, you know, they were getting death threats, and you know, which is never a good thing. And they pulled it through, and they've given a really solid update. So, congratulations.
Yeah. Well, not just the one update; they've done consistent updates that have just slowly brought people back. And then this next one's been a big bang. Here you go. Here's a reason to come back to the game. And oh yeah, we've done loads more updates as well since this one. And there you go.
Fair play. They could have just walked away, couldn't they?
I fully expected the studio to fold, and that was it. They just disappear. But they knuckled down. They obviously earned a huge amount of money on release, and they spent that wisely in repairing the game and made it what they wanted. You know what? I've tipped my hats to them, and that's what we love to see in the gaming industry. They admit they were wrong. They knew they were wrong, and there we go. They fixed it, and we moved on, which is good to see. So No Man's Sky, record players, which is good to see. And there was news headlines last week of it breaking 40,000, and now it's easily busting double that. So it could keep climbing as people see it move on. We've got World of Warcraft, new expansion coming out this month as well. World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth. Now, I've never been a WoW player, but I watched the Battle for Azeroth trailer, and I don't know what it is, but there's something that gives me like weird chills. Like, I feel like I'm involved in the world when I hear someone shout for the Horde. Like, I don't know what it is. I've never played WoW. I don't know the lore, but I just know that you know, that's like a cool fantasy battle moment. And the trailer's really cool, actually.
Have you ever played any MMOs like World of Warcraft or any of the old school ones?
Yeah, I played World of Warcraft.
Oh, yeah?
It was probably the first... Yeah. I was sucked into that world very deeply. And
were you Horde or Alliance?
Alliance.
You're an Alliance man.
He's a good guy.
See, I know this. I don't even play WoW, and I just know these things. I think that's testament to how popular the game is. Don't even play it, and I know roughly what things are.
Well,
interestingly, it's been... Go on, sorry. Go on.
Oh, no, so I was just going to say, what was your reaction with the announcement of the vanilla servers coming to World of Warcraft?
I was kind of a bit like, yeah, you know, fair enough. But when you get sucked into that world so deeply and you come out of it, it's kind of like, for me personally, I felt like I just wasn't interested. But it's still got a place in my heart. So it's interesting to see the new things that are coming with it, and the fact that it's currently 5th in the most streamed games at the moment is testament to the strength of the game, because it kind of went off the radar for a long time. I felt like they had some expansions, and the direction they took it in didn't seem to work because no one really talked about it anymore, and now all of a sudden it's massively on the radar again.
Yeah, I feel like MMOs are having a resurgence, and they're slowly coming back into popularity with the communities.
Yeah, definitely. I think all these big, quick MOBA, let's have a big battle kind of took over, because that's what was originally massively popular in these MMOs, their little PvP battle arenas. And then so people took that and made standalone games, which has sort of led us to having MOBAs like League of Legends, and then obviously things like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. It's that sort of mentality. People like fast-paced PvP. And so I think people are like, you know what, let's tone it down. Let's chop some trees down. Let's go on quests. People kind of want that back again. I think because there is a lack of single-player games around, and you can kind of have that single-player experience in an MMO world and still chat to your friends at the same time. So while we're talking about Vanilla WoW, actually, some of the developers that made Vanilla WoW have released an early access trailer for a brand new game called Rend. Now, if you don't know too much about it, it's it's their stab at a brand new MMO. It's kind of it's a fantasy survival skill crafting, kind of a mix of everything. So you can choose your faction, obviously, and things like that, but you can build your own bases. You can develop skills, and then you can rise up these factions as well. And it's looking nice. It's I don't think it's ability based from what I've seen from the trailer. I think it's more just your standard sort of Skyrim-esque combat. But it could be interesting, especially some of the vanilla WoW developers. And it's coming to early access very soon, so some of your favourite streamers will be playing it. I'm sure they'll get a lot of cash to give it a boost. And,
do you know when they started developing this? Like, has it been in the works for a long time? Because I've not heard anything about it.
I'm unsure because I literally sort of stumbled across this today.
Yeah.
Wow. And I've kind of looked into it, and it looks really nice, actually. I'm kind of intrigued to see it. Just having a quick look on some wiki pages, and I can't really see.
Good old wiki.
Early access is launched already.
So, is it out already? Is it?
Oh,
so,
right.
yeah.
July 31st.
So let us know if you've managed to play Rend, and let us know what you think. I'm going to be following this a bit more of the podcast, I think, because it looks nice. Buy now, Steam Early Access, top of the website, missed that. So yeah, it's what is Rend? Should we go to that? So it's I'll see this is what they say on the website. Rend is a team-based survival game set in the fabled universe of a Nordic mythology. This is an epic fantasy world in a harsh domain where there's a strong ascent as gods. You must choose one of 3 factions, combining forces to build your team's stronghold, battle foes, and brutal creatures. Together you endure the dangers of Rend's treacherous landscapes to discover valuable resources, powerful artifacts. With the game's deep talent trees and skill systems, you'll have the freedom to choose how you want to fight for your team's victory. When a cycle ends, one faction will be declared a winner, but the end is only the beginning. Victorious players will receive rewards, and they can use that in subsequent cycles as they ascend to legendary heights as heroes. Wow, you know what? I'm really excited just after reading that. I'm reeled in.
How did you find out about it? Because we've both never heard of it. So
I found it on /r/gaming news. It was just that I just spotted the trailer, and it just like good old Reddit, and it just said WoW vanilla developers release early access trailer. So a Nordic setting. I'm a sucker for a Nordic setting.
You really drew me in when you said the word mythology. I started to get a little bit excited because yes, we've had like a lot of mythology films. Some have been a bit hit and miss. Some of them have been very good, and there hasn't been a lot of mythology games that have really like taken it to the next level. Recently, we've had Conan Exiles, which is delved a little bit into some mythological lore, but to see an MMO taking Norse,
I quite like these season systems as well that they're saying. Obviously, they're going to call it cycles or whatever they want to call it, but this season base. So because obviously you've had these MMOs in the past where you join an alliance, the Horde, or in RuneScape you support gods and stuff like that. In Guild Wars, well, it's guilds and stuff like that. So to have a definitive point where that faction wins, how they win, I'm unsure at the moment. But yeah, it's But they've got proper Norse gods here as well, because they mentioned the hammer of Thor, the horns of Loki, the steed of Odin. It's all in there as well.
The hammer of Thor.
The hammer of Thor. That's a different sort of game, that is. Yeah.
I've been playing on the weekends.
Yeah. But,
interestingly,
so I think I've just kind of sold this game to myself during the podcast, so it kind of became an advert in itself. Totally not sponsored. Other MMOs are available.
No, you were talking about the Hammer of Thor. Another streamer friend of mine, he did a podcast and I listened to it. And
you listened to his podcast, did you?
It's the only podcast I've ever listened to in my whole life.
Wow.
So
Really?
yours isn't. I've listened. I guess I have listened to others, but some of them are very very long, and I'm not. I don't
Like
have
us.
much time. But he mentioned this hilarious game called Tits and Tanks, and there was a $20,000 professional esports competition.
I'm not sure if I should. I'm not sure if I should Google this, but
I wouldn't Google it. But it's
game.
just
Actually, I'm
ridiculous.
not going to Google it. I'm going to spare myself.
Google it. You'll laugh your head off. But it is just. It opened my eyes to like, oh my god, there is actually people creating stuff like this. What?
Can I guess what it is? So I haven't Googled it. I'm gonna guess right. There's tanks, but coming out the top of a tank is a naked lady.
Possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, it's anime girl. So much for equality in games, there, as we were talking about.
Right? I know. So yeah, I wasn't on the podcast. I just listened to it. But yeah, it was just. It was like a curveball. I was like, what? What? People create this stuff and there's actually an esports competition for it?
I love that.
Like, that made it even more ridiculous.
Yeah. There are strange news. Speaking of strange things, actually, trying to swiftly move on from this. In some strange news, I found that officially coming out, officially 100%, there's an official Fallout recipe book on the way to get yourself some fancy wasteland meals for any Vault Dweller out there. The Vault Dweller's official cookbook is written by a girl who runs Pixelated Provisions blog. She shares recipes inspired by video games and things like that. So she's got the Peckish pizza from Overcooked, and a Team Fortress 2 sandwich. That wasn't my speech, that was actually how she puts it. And the forthcoming collection of 78 Fallout-themed recipes. It's going to be published in October and will be available on Amazon. So you need to start collecting your Deathclaw meat now. And yeah, get ready to cook up some with your Nuke Cola.
Some rat stew.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic.
This isn't the first cookbook that has come out for a video game. There was a World of Warcraft one, actually, with 200 recipes in there from so many consumable items, over 1,000 consumable items in World of Warcraft. So yeah, it's if you like making yourself some video game meals, then this is something to get your hands on.
So, talking about MMOs for a moment, so this Rend, I don't know much about it in terms of how the progression system is going to work, but what are your guys' views on, and I've been talking about this a lot on stream this week, about grinding, about unnecessary lengthy tasks in MMOs and repetitive tasks?
You know what, we're probably a biased people to ask on this because we were big RuneScape players, and RuneScape comes from that constant grind to a 99 and stuff like that. Obviously you don't have to do that in RuneScape, but that is a big thing of MMOs, and I don't actually mind the grinding games, not just with MMOs, but I'm a big fan of looter shooters. So I've not played Warframe too much, but Destiny and Division and stuff like that, I really quite like going back over the same missions and really refining it and just trying to get that, that new gun, that rare drop. And for me, I'm quite a fan of that. I don't mind reusing old content over and over again, and then to get such a rare drop that you feel like you've earned it. And I think that was the main key, like the big thing for me, especially in the Division. Used to play that quite a lot, and then when I got like a really rare, nice gun, because I'd spent so much time into it, I felt like I've earned it. If I was just given that from completing a mission, I don't feel like I'd be as excited about the drop. I don't know how you guys feel, but that's how my thoughts on grinding. If you get a big reward for grinding, then it feels worth it.
Me, if you would have asked me that question probably 4 years ago, I would have said that yeah, I'm all down for grinding. I'm a part of that. But nowadays, as I've gotten older, I feel like my time is a lot more precious, and I don't really have a lot of time nowadays just to grind out a massive MMO. You know,
Yeah.
I would love to play all these games. I would love to, you know, to go back to World of Warcraft and have a blast on it. But I honestly, I don't think I have enough time for it.
But World of Warcraft has that level skip now that you can pay for.
It does, yeah.
If you don't want that, which I think is a really good idea. It was obviously controversial when it came out, but they've acknowledged there are people out there who are, as you say, precious on time, and you can pay to skip to get to the end game content, which most people that say stream and stuff like that are interested in nowadays.
Yeah, I think you if you want to do that, you should be able to do that. I mean, a great example is a game that lets you get to end game content from the moment you enter the game without having to pay is I guess it's more for the PvP side of things, is a game called Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, I was going to mention that actually, yeah, because Guild Wars 1 was the same as well.
Yeah, the fact that you can, in Guild Wars 2, you can just go straight to the PvP area, be level 80 with the same access to everything as everybody else is just brilliant. And the reason why it's come up is because I've been playing a lot of Star Trek Online, which is of the older style, where to become good in the PvP realm, you've got to grind everything. You've got to grind your reputation, you've got to grind your gear, you've got to grind everything to make sure you're competitive and you're in with the meta. And I'm never usually a fan of the meta, but it's there for a reason because it's the best stuff. And yeah, so for me, and the same as Ziclag, it's time. Time is very, very precious, and it's the most precious commodity, more than money, food, or anything else. Time is, you know, we don't have much of it. So
It's running out.
It's running out, man.
Because yeah,
my hourglass is emptying.
Yeah, because you play a lot of Escape from Tarkov, don't you? And I've played a little bits myself, and I really struggle to get into it. But you have to grind sort of missions on repetitive maps on that as well, which can be quite difficult actually, whether you run as a scav or as your main character.
The thing with that is every time you do it, it's different. Because you don't know when you're going to run into the players, or you know where the scavs are. That's kind of a bit samey, but they do roam around a lot more.
Yeah.
I've not played it at all this patch, mostly because I don't feel like it's in a place where I'm going to enjoy it. But a lot of people are still enjoying it, so I'm waiting for the technical patch to come, and then I'm going to be playing the absolute living daylights out of it.
It's just a bit too simulation at times for me.
Really?
I'm not a fan of let's take all the bullets out of my chamber and all that sort of stuff. Because it felt like a steep learning curve, like I had someone to help me along. But I felt if I bought that game and just went into it, I would be overwhelmed with what the hell I've got to do. Because there's very little instructions of how to do it. And I don't mind figuring stuff out for myself. But when basic things like I can't load my gun, because it's hard to work out what rounds it takes or stuff like that. It's really frustrating. And just simple things like that, and then discover the deeper mechanics on your own. I'm fine with that.
Do you think that's part and parcel because of the world we live in, where there's lots of content, videos and streams for people to learn from now, that developers don't necessarily feel like they have to give you a complete in-depth knowledge?
Yeah, because I could Google how to, a noob's guide to Tarkov. There's probably 20 videos on YouTube explaining that. But as I did with DayZ, actually, the first time I played DayZ, I put a first-person's beginner's guide to DayZ, and I did get this walkthrough and stuff like that, because DayZ doesn't hold your hand. But I feel with DayZ, everything is they try and make it as simulation as possible, so it feels like this what you should be doing. You can tear up a shirt and do it into rags and stuff like that. It's things that feel natural, which is how they've tried to design the game. And I think with DayZ, it's designed in such a way that if you can't think of it, then that's how your way of surviving is.
I think as well that I feel like it's a gameplay feature in itself. Back in the day, we were talking about how all these devs were doing tutorials, videos, wiki pages, and then came along Minecraft, which didn't hold your hand whatsoever, and it changed the game completely. For all the devs, just suddenly went, hang on a second, we've been doing this all wrong. This one guy hasn't held anyone's hand, and he's selling millions. People love that wonder of just learning
Discovery.
Yes, yeah. And it works in some games, I do get it. But
does,
when
yeah.
Minecraft came out on the Xbox, it did have a tutorial island. So
Okay.
that was a feature they did add in the end. So moving on to some other gaming news, PUBG is adding dynamic weather back into the game, which was a much requested feature by many people. The matches will still predominantly be in good weather conditions. So if you fly into the map and it's clear skies, it will just be as normal. But if you fly into the map and it's cloudy, that's when you're going to get these dynamic weather conditions, which will include fog, rain, and I'm guessing a few other conditions as well, based on what map you're on. It'll be on all 3 maps as well, Sanark, Miramar, and Erangel. Which is good to see, just adds that little bit of a dynamic. And I always liked it when the fog came down, because it really just suddenly changed the game. And
It did, yeah.
it was interesting. It just made that, because obviously PUBG, I've put a lot of hours into it, and you did get that repetitiveness after a while, and it just makes a map that already exists totally different. You just approach the games totally different, especially when it's raining. You can sneak up on someone because they can't hear your footprints. So dynamic weather, looking forward to that being back in PUBG.
What do you think of the game Mavericks? Proving Grounds.
Don't know much about it, to be honest.
Oh, interesting. This could be a feature of the podcast every week.
What, a game that we've not been involved in?
A game that somebody's heard of that the other two may not have heard of.
So give us a rundown. What is Mavericks?
Mavericks is going to be up to 400 players.
Oh.
Battle Royale style, with a cross between Battle Royale and Escape from Tarkov, in the terms of the escape extraction kind of element of it.
Right,
is
okay.
you extracting the loot that you find.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a good gun off a player, you can call in an extraction. People will see that thing coming in, and you've got obviously limited time to get that gear out, and then that secures it for you.
See,
so it looks like it's either going to be persistently ongoing all the time, or it's going to be down to the last man standing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I prefer that style of extraction than how Escape from Tarkov does it, where you just get to your zone and you extract. Because dark zones in The Division were very good for that. Like, you did go around, you kill players, you get their loot, and then you go to an extraction point, and then you call in the extraction with a flare, and then everyone in that area knows you're calling in an extraction, which means you've likely got some decent loot, which would just bring this like moment of absolute chaos and a worry that you were going to lose your loot because everyone was closing in on you. And then if you fought all these people off and you just extracted your loot just at the end, it'd feel great. Or you'd sneak up on someone and just shoot down their loot and grab it from them right at the end. I really liked that style of extraction. And I think for me, if Tarkov had that, I'd be a little bit more into it as well. But the fact that you extract to play it and you sort of exit from the world almost instantly, that's kind of... yeah, it's okay. It just doesn't feel as interactive as that style of extraction.
I think it will have that eventually when they link the maps together.
Yeah.
But at the moment, while they're building that and optimizing it, so the game can handle.
Oh, is that the plan for it, to have one giant map? Is there?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Going to be. Yeah. So what will happen is you'll play the individual maps. Once you've completed the tasks and extracted from all the different maps, you'll then have access to the open world.
Right, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Which it looks like Mavericks is going down the same route in terms of they're doing a proving grounds, which is a battle royale style, and then an open world as well.
Right, okay.
I'm just looking at their website, and it's actually updated, so there's some new information. But there's a tracking system, so you're going to be able to track people via their footsteps and things, and it's I really like the look of it, and it's made by some really good developers. They made a game called Deceit.
Right.
Deceit is a very indie game, but very simple concept and quite popular. I've not played it yet, but from what I've seen of it and the streams and videos that I've seen, it looks like a really good game. But the thing about the developers is they're heavily kind of AI centric. And the way they're doing it is the server, because obviously imagine trying to do a 400 player battle royale game. You know, what server's going to handle that? So they're doing it on multiple servers, and the map is so big that the servers are going to kind of
link together to support each other.
Yeah, and when certain things are going off in a certain area, resources will get sent to that zone of the map to keep the service.
I can see a lot.
Really clever.
I can see a lot of things going wrong.
What if a section of the server goes down and you've got like a black hole in the area of the map?
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, that's for the techies on that one. Speaking of me playing Halo 3 early this week, yeah. I had a little check at Halo Online, otherwise known as Alderitos. It was a fan-made open source Halo game for PC, and that was a big thing because Halo 3 never really came out for PC. And what I've discovered, the development of it is actually stopped about 3 months ago, as Microsoft takes legal action over the game. Now, it came to its 0.6 update, and the community has been growing and growing massively for this game. People are loving it. I've played it on PC actually. I know Ziclag as well for something like Halo 3 nostalgia. Microsoft came out with a comment and said, while we're humbled and inspired to see the amount of passion pouring out into this project, the fact remains it is built upon Microsoft-owned assets that were never lawfully released or authorized for this purpose. As this project reverberates across the community, our team took a step back to assess the materials and explore possible avenues. While Microsoft, like any company, has a responsibility to protect its IP, code and trademarks, it's not optional, in other words. So they're not shutting down the mod or going after the team that have done it. What they're doing is they're inciting action to remove Halo Online code and its packages from places it's being hosted, because there's original assets that are available online to download. That's how you use the game, and that's what they're looking. There's no cease and desist, there's no DMCA. Other than that, it's been very quiet on that front. It's still active, they're still encouraging people to play the game, but for now, development appears to be on hold until they can come to a deal with Microsoft. Whether that means that Microsoft are considering, doing their own Halo 3. If they do, I hope, as you just said there, they buy out these studios, they give these guys the jobs, because they're clearly passionate about it, so why not employ them to do it? And we've seen that with some mods in the past. But, we've seen a lot of big gaming companies that have always supported mods, that suddenly see a mod that goes that little bit too far, and then they decide to shut it down. We've seen it with Bethesda many times. Skyrim Together was going to be the big mod there. I think the mod will still release, but it 100% will not release on Steam, which was the big thing for the mod, because it was going to rely on the Steam's partnering system, essentially. And considering Bethesda is a company that not only embraces mods, but charges people for them, I thought that they'd really be behind such a game like this. It's obvious why, because of Elder Scrolls Online, but, people want to play Skyrim with their friends. Is that such a big problem?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite controversial, really, isn't it? I mean, like, they want to protect, obviously, their own work, but at the same time, modding keeps the game alive. Just like how Skyrim has been alive for this long, it's purely because of modding, in my opinion.
I think there becomes a point where, for a game, it's been, it's been in the ether, shall we say, for so long, that developers should just, let it go. And let it out there, because there's some great rewrites of old games. There's some of my old favorite games, Command and Conquer. There's the OpenRA community that have rewritten 3 of the original Command and Conquer games. There's OpenTH, which is Theme Hospital, rewritten in a brand new engine, so it works great. And these are really great projects. Okay, these games are quite considerably older than Halo 3 and Skyrim, but unless you're planning to do some big things as a developer, then just leave it, because the Master Chief Collection, in Halo 3's example, was an absolute flop. There's no one on it anymore. I know they've got big plans for it very soon to kind of fix some of the problems it has. But yeah, it's an interesting balance. And when you support modding so much in Bethesda's case, and then you're like, okay, maybe this mod goes too far, then, you know, where's the line? You know, you say people mod my game, but then you're like, okay, don't mod it that much.
Well, essentially, it's all about money, really, isn't it? Do you think it's okay for modders to have a donation button if they're using like other game companies' content?
Hell yeah.
Because it's the same as us as content creators using the video game assets to, you know, say, play it and do commentary over it and things like that. We have this understanding with the game companies, which has only really come out in the last few years, that it's a fair use for us to play the game and talk about it for entertainment purposes. Now, if we were just to copy the game and sell it, then that would be a breach of copyright. But you know, there's been all these arguments over the years. You know, Nintendo have been famous for shutting down YouTube channels, for deciding that they suddenly don't want people to cover their games. All those games companies that will hit people with DMCA notices because they've bad reviewed a game and things like that. So we're sort of in this transition page into not really knowing about online copyright. And when you're dealing with people that aren't involved in companies or are very young, that's why these things often get missed. You know, you're dealing with people that are solo workers and they just record games and put them online. So a lot of people don't know about copyright. You know, you see how many videos online are using copyrighted music and they don't even know. They put something in their description that says, "Oh, this music is not owned by me. This is not my copyright," and they think that allows them to use it, which it doesn't. That's not how copyright works. But there is this understanding that, you know, we're allowed to use the video game assets to do video game commentary or live streams and things like that. And I think there's an understanding that modders can use the assets of the game, as long as it's not in a detrimental way to the company. And that's for the company to decide how far they want their modders to take it.
Just to take that even further, this is quite weird, but I remember if you ever recorded like Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, you would have to actually turn off the radios if you were recording, just because YouTube or Twitch would just pick it up. And then because
it's got actual music on there, and that's been a big discussion recently as well, especially for GTA streamers, because that's modern music on there as well. Like their radio stations are bang up to date when they release. And you know, that is a fine line, and it's whether games companies can, because they all acknowledge that streaming and video making is just a win-win regardless. It's going to bring attention to your game, so why not just allow it? So they're going to have to consider in the license calling it fair use, or very clearly stating to people that the radio station must be turned off, or things like that. Because for me, the radio stations are very funny in GTA. You know, it's not a big thing. Same in Fallout, even more actually. The radio stations are fantastic. And it's a big part of the solo experience. But if you're streaming it, you should be able to add that flair and your own copyright-free music, shall we say, that will bridge that gap of it not being there. In Fallout, actually, saying that though, you do get some helpful hints from the radio station, because it does, you know, Fallout 3 and 4 actually, they do tell you, oh, you know, maybe you should go check out this zone, or I've heard this rumour. So, I don't know, if it's a hard one. I'm not sure what you think about this, Vegan. Hello?
I think the music thing is a very, very frustrating one. You have to be very careful creating your content, and sometimes I just want to play the music I love, and I do it, and I know that if I upload it to YouTube, it will just be copyright claimed. So, which, you know, isn't a big deal, but at the same time, it's, I don't know, music shouldn't really be that heavily
I agree.
monitored.
I mean, on the plus side, there is a lot of companies and websites out there that do give you a lot of assets for free you know, just to go crazy with it. You know, you can do what you want with it. So that is a plus side as well, that there's a massive community supporting that. You know, you should be able to, you know, freely use the work and everyone gets to benefit from it.
And you get a lot of undiscovered artists that way. So that's why I like
Yeah.
using copyright-free music, because you discover people, you know, like Tobu. I've always been a great fan of his work. Obviously, we used a lot of Nubby Kakums, like he was just a random guy that made music, and he got quite big. He was featured in the Minecraft documentary. His track was used, so I hope he got a big kickback from that monetary-wise, which is really good. I think it's time. We've talked about a lot of news so far, actually. We move on to the feature. So it's time to play Guess the Game. Let's roll that jingle.
Play it. It's time to play Guess the Game with the Sneaky Bros, and occasionally a guest that has nothing better to do with their life. Alright, let's play.
Yes, we have found a guest that has nothing better to do with his life. VeganSpaceman, welcome to Guess the Game. The game show where the rules change every week. Ziclag makes it up, and we just go along with it. There's been no losers so far. No pressure.
Thanks for taking some of my life. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, guess the game. You have 5 minutes to guess what game I'm thinking of. I can only reply with yes or no answers. So you can ask me anything to, you know, to try and get a little bit of a clue, but I can only answer yes or no. For whatever reason, if you're like, oh, I'm just not quite getting it, I don't understand what it is, you can ask me for a clue. But if you ask me for a clue, I'm going to knock off 1 minute. You can have up to 3 clues. So, you know, have a talk with Vale. He might be able to help you out with this. Are you ready to play Guess the Game?
Whoa, am I?
Yeah, buddy. All right, hang on. As always, I'm not prepared for this. I'm sorry. I need to get a Google timer up sooner. Hang on. Just talk or something. There we go.
Okay, so
Talk amongst yourselves.
We need to interrogate him really hard. We're going to ask him lots of yes/no questions.
I feel like we've normally done this with about 25 seconds to go, so I feel like
I quite like 20 questions type games.
Yeah. So are we ready?
I am ready. Yes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Should we alternate the questions?
Yeah, just go for it.
Go on, you go first.
Tactics. Okay, your 5 minutes starts now. Guess the game.
Is it a console exclusive?
No, it is not.
Is it a multiplayer game?
It is not.
Does it have multiplayer in the game at all?
Yes, it does.
So multiplayer is not the focus. So is it more of a single player experience?
Yes.
Is it an FPS game?
No.
Is it created by Bethesda?
No. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. We'd like a clue.
Yeah, let's have a clue.
Have a clue? Okay, I'm going to stop the timer. So, your new time is 3 minutes, 27 seconds on the clock. Your first clue, don't worry, I've paused the time. Have a think, have a talk amongst yourselves. Here's the first clue. Stretch me, shape me, mold me. Whatever you choose will make it work. 3 minutes, 27 seconds on the clock. Starting now.
What? Is it a puzzle game?
No.
Is it a sandbox game?
Yes.
Is it a very low poly sandbox game?
I'd say no on that one. 3 minutes. Would you like another clue?
Yeah, let's have another clue.
Another clue. All right, I'm going to stop the timer. So, 1 minute 57 seconds. Oh, getting close to that. 0 seconds. So, for this next clue, really think about it. Don't think about the sentence as a whole. Maybe you can pick a few things out. Are you ready? Will he make the right design choices? Will he make the right design choices? 1 minute 57 seconds. Guess the game.
Do you know if I've played the game before?
Yes.
So it's something I've played.
Is it a mobile game?
No. It is not.
And is it a puzzle game?
No, he said no to that. He said it was more of a single player but does have multiplayer. Can we have the final clue?
Correct. Final clue. Yep. So I'm going to stop the timer. You will have 33 seconds on
33
the clock.
seconds after the final clue. Come on, we can do this.
It's going to be close. So this is a big one. Listen carefully. Final clue. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. 33 seconds. Starting now.
Is the game Spore?
It is Spore. Congratulations.
I was about to say the same.
Yay!
Hey,
Good man.
Good job. Good job.
How will you
What do
create
think?
the universe?
Yes.
Another
What a
win.
fantastic
You
game.
weren't the first loser of Guess the Game. How's that feel?
It feels great. I just want to thank. I want to thank Up the Veil and Ziclag and
Who's Up
the
the Veil?
internet.
Do you understand the second clue? Will
Yes.
he make the right design choices? Do you understand that?
The Will was the developer, wasn't he?
Will Wright was the developer of the
Yeah.
game. Hey, I'm getting good with these, aren't I? Yeah, that's Guess the Game. It's going strong on that game, isn't it? I like it.
I've realised we've left all the games for the end of the podcast, so we're just going to have a quick moment before we've got Ziclag's brand new game.
Yes, I've got a second one for you lot.
We're going to have a look at comments from last week. Sawtooth says, Team 17, worms just worms, throws a concrete donkey at the Sneaky Bros. Yeah, yeah, we talked a lot about Team 17 last week. And we love their games. You a Team 17 fan?
Hell yeah. Worms is one of the greatest games.
Yeah, it's just end. A great party game and a good thing all round. Also, 4 of 4 games not found. Ooh, fan comment. Lunch said it was awesome being with you guys on the podcast of the week. He says he can't wait to be back on and he wants it on a podcast service to download it from so we can listen at work. Yes, something we are working on. We'll be revealing news about the plans for the future of the podcast sometime in the future.
When we have it all planned out.
When we've got it all planned out. A look at some other releases coming up this month, and it's finally coming up, so we'll only be talking about it in the next 5 podcasts, I reckon. Overcooked 2 finally releases on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Can't wait.
Not got it yet.
Cannot wait. It's going to break up a lot of marriages and friendships, but
have you played Overcooked Vegan?
No, but I've seen and heard good things about it. It's like a cooperative
cooking game.
Yeah,
you would love it.
Pro Evolution Soccer, it's obviously the start of the football season, so their 2019 edition releases at the end of this month, actually. Along with that, we have a few final releases as well. That's on the 10th of this month it's coming out. Monster Hunter as well, it's getting a couple of releases this month as well, PC and Switch. It's coming out for different versions, I think they are actually on the Switch. I think the Switch is the port, isn't it, of the older game. I'm not too sure on that. And Telltale's The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 1 releases. I've not played a lot of the Telltale Walking Dead games, but they've been very good, the ones I've played.
The first season that they did was just one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. It was amazing.
And that's it with Telltale games. It's an experience, isn't it? It's not really a game, but good.
Right, it's pretty much
an
right up
interactive
your street,
story,
isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So, because we totally forgot about all the features, there's a brand new game to the podcast, which we've left them all to the end. Apologies. We'll work it out for next time. But there's a new game, isn't there, Ziclag?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really call it a game. It's more of just I don't know what it is. I mean, it's essentially, I'm going to tell you 3 things, right? One of them is a real fact, and then the other 2 are just lies that I've just, made up. And you have to, talk to each other, try and figure out if I'm, which ones I'm, telling fibs about. And it's called the Molyneux effect. So there you go. That's the name of the game. I've not done a jingle yet. I will promise to do one next week if the game is any good. So are you ready to play?
Can you sing a jingle now?
Yes, I can. It's time to play the Molyneux effect.
Oh, that echo was good. That's
Yeah,
pretty
thank
good.
you. High production here at the Sneaky Tower with myself, Ziclag, Vegan, and Up the Veil. Are you ready to play the Molyneux
Who's Up the
effect?
Veil?
Jesus. Sneaky Veil. There you go.
Sneaky Veil.
Sneaky Veil. You ready to play?
Ready?
All right. So yeah, I mean I've already told you the rules. I'm going to tell you 3 different things, gaming related. So have a discussion amongst yourselves. Maybe you can work out which ones are fibs and which ones I'm telling the truth on. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The first one is in the early stages of its development, Half-Life featured a female lead character called Georgina Free.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, we got the next one. Sonic the Hedgehog was originally designed to be a rabbit, but the devs found his ears too hard to animate. And the final one. The early concept for Fable 4 that never started development focused on the technological revolution in the early to mid 1800s, featuring the use of railroad systems and early models of motorized vehicles. 2 of those are complete lies. One of them is the complete truth. Have discussion.
Oh, 2 are lies. Wow. Okay. Well, let's work through them. So,
Yep.
the first one was the
Half-Life.
Half-Life one with a female lead protagonist. What was her name?
Georgina Free.
Georgina Free. I mean, it's not completely out of the realms of the possibility, but I'm not sure about that one. The Sonic the Hedgehog one seems believable about the animation, but
Yeah.
I reckon that's one of the lies, definitely. I don't know about you, Vegan.
I think the third one's the true one.
I was just about to say that was what I was moving on to. I think the third one's
Because
the true
it-
one because it makes sense in the timeline, because they did the Industrial Revolution in Fable 3, and that was kind of leading into the next technological advance, and Fable 4 could have been that that focus on that, and it would have made sense. It would have followed the Fable timeline, as it were, and the Sonic
Plus-
one I just don't buy.
And plus, I know Ziclag a bit, and I have a feeling that his conjuring up the name Georgina Free, that's totally out of his brain.
Yeah.
Instead of free man, it's
Yeah.
just free. So totally, and the Sonic, yeah, I believe they could have animated whatever the hell they wanted in a hedgehog.
So-
In fact, they had
Totally.
bunnies. In fact, there weren't the rabbits on Green Zone. Yeah, there were bunnies in Sonic the Hedgehog because you released them from the cage at the end. So
you didn't think this through.
You released rabbits and squirrels and all that sort of stuff from the cage at the end.
So,
Let's see if we're right.
So we're saying answer C or 3, whichever you were doing it. That's what we say is true.
so you're going with the truth being the Fable 4 concept.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to knock off one of them. So I was telling fibs about Georgina Free, completely made up. So next,
It
up,
sounded
we have-
believable though. I give you. You really did sell it
Yeah.
until you gave the name. Nothing.
Yeah, it was the name that gave it away.
I gotta work on it a bit, eh? So next up, we've either got Fable or Sonic the Hedgehog. So you're still going with Fable? The answer is actually Fable was a lie, completely made up by
Oh really?
myself.
Wow.
Yes,
What?
yes. Back in the day, the animators for Sonic the Hedgehog first wanted it to be a rabbit. Then they found out that animating those ears was pretty hard, and then they moved to an armadillo and thought it's not really working, so let's do a hedgehog. So I got you both. What do you think of the game?
Oh, damn it! It's a rubbish game.
Yeah, I don't like it.
We didn't
It's
want.
really-
Yeah, I don't
really-
like it.
really
Yeah,
rubbish. Don't like it.
yeah. It's
I
not-
feel like you intentionally used the Fable one to sucker me in because it made sense.
I
That
did,
that
yeah.
was a better lie actually than Georgina Free.
I feel like I don't know you anymore.
I feel like if there's any modders
Fable
listening
lie.
to this, if you could make a Half-Life mod where all you do is change the protagonist to Georgina Free,
Free.
you know, so you walk in, good morning, Georgina. Looks like you're running late. We're waiting for you, Georgina, in the test chamber. You know, it's just I'll voice it for
wanna
you.
know. I want to know what happened to the other two Georginas.
What? 3, not 3.
I know.
I did think he said 3 at first. I was with you on that. I did think it was a number.
You've seen Georgina 1 and 2. Now it's time for Georgina 3.
That's a good one. I like it.
You,
So yeah,
you had that Duke Nukem voice about you then, to be honest, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, well, fun fact is the Duke Nukem voice was actually modelled after somebody that wasn't anybody related to me.
Jesus.
I thought you were going to come up with a really good bit of trivia then. I thought we were going to be like
exclusive.
I thought we were going to be like blown away by a bit of trivia there. I think that pretty much brings us to the end of the podcast this week.
You know what? There was a lot more I wanted to ask you, Vegan. So we'll have to get you on another time. Are you up for that?
Hell yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sounds good.
Of course, as always, leave your comments in the comment section down below. Join the Discord. Yeah, join the Discord community. And I've also hit VeganSpaceman up on his Twitch channel, which is
twitch.tv/VeganSpaceman.
There we go, all one word. So hit him up, give him a follow, and a subscribe, and you know, chuck him some bits, you know, whatever you want to do, support him as an upcoming streamer. And yeah, we look forward to having you back on the podcast. He also has his own Discord community as well. So if you know you like the Spaceman, you want some more, head over there. I can't remember what your is it the team? Is that your Discord community?
Yeah, the team.
The team.
The team.
So yeah, it's been great having you on the podcast. Also remember to subscribe to the Sneaky Bros. Hit the bell button.
Hello, Vegan Mom.
Yeah, I'm glad we did the hellos and the shout outs. Anyone you do want to shout out, you know, in the podcast? Any fans?
Oh yeah, the Sneaky Bros.
Yeah.
If we can get a shout out for the Sneaky Bros.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always.
Top guys. Good channel. Subscribe.
Yeah. Good channels. Like, subscribe.
Hit that bell icon.
Notification bell.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, it's
Thanks
time
for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
it's been great.
it was fun.
It's been good fun. And let's play that outro. We'll see you next week.
Hit that button. That's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you had fun. I had fun as well.
You know what? I think we're getting really better, like at filling content, because that just went really quick for me. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like our initial idea, Vegan, was to completely do a massive interview about Twitch and you, and we completely failed that. But we can always have you on.